Call of Duty is back, which means it's time to hop online and have 3 fun games before you receive nuclear backshots from skill-based matchmaking and ruin any potential joy you may have gotten. So because of that, I would be sticking to the more pleasant experience of playing through the campaign, is what I would say if I wasn't going for the hardest achievement in the game, which is for beating the campaign on Veteran difficulty. With every new Call of Duty release, Veteran has only gotten easier, so here I was assuming this would be a pleasant walk in the park. Call of Duty. You're trying really fucking hard to ruin my day, and you are succeeding. The year was 1991 and we were in Kuwait, which was a war-torn country before it became a travel location for influencers with a personality stiffer than gluten-free bread. We were here on a mission to capture a man named Alawi alive, with new characters Marshall, Harrow, and our protagonist, Case. Surprisingly, we don't have to commit 18 war crimes to actually capture him, as we secure the bag without issue. There was, however, an issue of another army presence in Kuwait that wasn't US or Iraqi. Alawi muttered a name of who it was.
Pantheon.
Who is Pantheon? How is Pantheon? Why is Pantheon? All these questions that would be answered later on, as right now we needed to extract with our target. What we did know about Pantheon is that they were packing, and I'm not just talking about the 9 inches in the trouser region, I'm talking about their weaponry. My death count already started racking up significant numbers in the early game because now we were fighting an enemy who had real firepower and armour that wasn't made out of a pensioner's curtains. Speaking of armour, the little orange bar you see above my health represents an armour plate like in Warzone, but of course I wanted maximum testicular suction. So, I opted out of ever using these. So we get our target to the vehicle, but out of the dust pops that cheeky bugger Adler to put one between his eyes. The aura absolutely oozing off him as he's returned after being MIA for over a year. He tells us that the CIA is compromised from the inside, so we return to our higher up and he's all like, yeah, nah, you're suspended for letting the target die. Being suspended meant we had to go off the record with our investigation into this Pantheon group. Adler left us with a message for Woods that said, Bishop takes Rook. Apparently, it was code 4. I know those legs don't work anymore, big boy, but that dong is still impressive. Can't wait to gobble it later. They don't call you Woods for nothing. Also, I have a secret abandoned KGB safe house in Bulgaria. So, we got set up for our legal operations in this safe house, and once we did, I grabbed a blacklight and began scouring the lodge for remnants of semen. While I was doing this, Woods sat on his arse doing nothing while he let the black man do all the manual labour. For Christ's sake, Woods, times have progressed. These house upgrades that happen actually give us access to combat upgrades, but much like the armour, I would not be participating. I wanted the rawest of dogs this campaign had to offer, which was a decision I would end up really regretting later on. Our squad so far of myself, Marshall and Woods was looking a little thin, so it was time to head out and grab a few new recruits. I was assigned with earning the trust of Sev, a notorious assassin. Being notorious and an assassin makes it sound like she's not really that great at her job, but I'll celebrate any woman in a male-dominated workspace. This mission was kind of similar to a Hitman level where you have the target, but also an open area full of enemies who you can take out loud or in stealth. I decided to make my way around the canal and not take a dip inside of it because one drop of that green water inside me and I'd be shitting until next Monday. I head inside a church and take out a few more lads, ask Father for forgiveness and make our way up to the roof. Up here I whip out a sniper and turn into prime Chris Kyle. I measure the wind using my pinky and the temperature using my gooch. I line up my shot and put one right between the eyes of the big man, which unfortunately wrecks his $1,500 Cartier frames as collateral. Our job was not done yet, as Sev invites me into her van, where we take off our clothes, because we have to put on new disguises for another job. Our target this time was the biggest trafficker in the area. This man would traffic anything for profit. Women, children, rare PS2 games. He really had no line. I decided to enter through the kitchen and destroyed all their eggs on the way through, so the chef had a mare later on when he tried to cook. I then purposely give myself up as Sev, posing as a bodyguard, brings me in to see the big boy. Right as I'm about to get my face blown off, she pulls out the 9mm and the big lad escapes on foot. Luckily, he can only run for about 15 seconds before getting winded, so he's in the local market, where I proceed to knock up a few more deaths on the tally. Fighting in here was difficult because of the limited space, which meant civilians were also getting accidentally caught in the crossfire. It was tighter than a pigeon's asshole. 5 resets later, we catch the big lad escaping in a limo, so I sent it tumbling down the street. I'm told to go over and confirm his death, so I take a small loan of 100 machine gun ammo into his body just to make sure. Sev joined our squad thanks to my efforts, and Marshall recruited German hackerman Felix. It was now time to get the big dog Adler out of CIA holding. He was being held in a CIA black site, but the only thing is, we needed to pass a retinal scan to even get in there. We figure all we need is a high quality print of a retinal scan, so we head off to a political party to snap a picture of some dude's eye and use that to gain access. Hello? Silent takedown. Once inside, posing as a journalist, I made sure to take pictures of all of the essentials.
Yes, the scenery is nice.
So, once I blackmailed the politician's wife by showing her tapes of her husband's multiple affairs, she grants us our wish of a sweet couple picture. I also lock someone in the boot of a car while retrieving said tapes, so he's got about 12 hours before he logs off from Earth itself, but I don't know, I guess we'll think of that one later. After a few failed attempts, I make it to the roof, where I knock out a security guard who slumps up all suggestively. I mean, if it wasn't so cold tonight, I wouldn't have thought twice about hitting it with a dump truck like that. So, I make it to the retinal scanner, punch in the picture, and gain access to the super secure black site. It doesn't look too secure though once we enter, as everyone's dead or bleeding out. All this mess, and there's not even one wet floor sign. Does anybody really have any caution anymore? Of course, the group responsible for this is the Pantheon, as they want Adler dead. This mission can actually be done in complete stealth, but if you know anything about me, it's that there's two things I'm awful at. Number one is wearing a white t-shirt and not spilling anything down it within 45 minutes of putting it on. And number two is being stealthy in video games. So after an all-out gunfight with the Pantheon, we are reunited with Adler as we begin our escape, where things start to get a little hairy, due to my oath of never using an armor plate that left me at the mercy of being 2 or 3 bullets away from death at all times. But the Pantheon had figured out a way around this. They pulled out the intervention and had Phase Scope sit at the back of the map, hard scoping his little tits off, one-shotting me every single time. Like a water molecule absorbing enough energy to break free of the liquid phase, I was being evaporated. Whoa! Christ almighty! Okay. Okay, bro, I just got turned on a one-shot! 30 O.J. Simpsons later, we finally made it out, with every police officer in the state on our tail, but most importantly, with Adler alive. Back at the safe house, of course, Adler was absolutely dripping as always. He had info that the Pantheon was hiding something underneath one of Saddam Hussein's palaces in Iraq, so it was off to the desert with the SAS to find out exactly what that was. We reunited with Park from Cold War, which must be awkward for those of you who chose to save Lazar. This mission was the first of a couple open world sections in the game, where Call of Duty finally gave us what we'd been requesting for years: side quests. I stuck to the main objective of blowing up all the anti-air launchers, not because I didn't want to check out the side quests, but because I had to make my way everywhere on foot because my car had other ideas. Okay, leave guys, get out. Get out of the car. Leave. This way. Come this way. What are you doing? Don't stand next to a car. I was kind of expecting this to be filler, but it was actually quite fun, and I apologise to Kojima fans whose arse is about to fall out of their heart. I said that the wrong way around. Whose heart is about to fall out of their arse as I make this comparison, but it kind of reminded me a little bit of Metal Gear Solid 5. So with all 3 Scud launchers taken care of and my cardio really being pushed to the limits, it was time to raid the palace. Thought we was going to go sneak into the palace. Apparently not. Brilliant. What chance did I have of living? Wow. Okay. Okay, never mind. Oh, the RPG again. Brother, what am I supposed to... Oh, okay. Even when I wasn't taking RPGs directly to the dome, the game was still finding new ways to completely ruin my evening. Hey? Network failed. Oh my god, bruh. I can't play the campaign because I've been disconnected from the servers. So, after screaming insults down the phone at an Indian bloke for 20 minutes, my internet was back, and I honestly wish it would have just stayed down. Oh Christ, I forgot about this. Ah! Omni movement! Never mind, Omni movement didn't save me. Beautiful stuff. Did I do it? Holy shit. Don't die now. No! Christ's sake. Oh Christ. Stop it, you little sandwich bag. And even once I made it past the glorified cat's anus that was the intro to this mission, Black Ops 6 was still finding new ways to absolutely fist me. Whoa! Oh. Oh my god, man. Call of Duty, can you just let me back? I want to play the game. I'm having fun. Can you just let me? Nope. Okay, apparently I'm not allowed. With my game crashing more than a disabled guy learning how to use an electric wheelchair for the first time, my only option was to restart the whole mission, which unfortunately meant I had to go back to the beginning. Oh, I just blew up the fucking car on myself. Finally, after a few more resets, I actually managed to make some progress on this palace with my mate Phil Mitchell. However, I think due to all those events, it had taken a huge toll on me mentally, as I could not catch a break. What? Oh my god. I am having a mare. In the basement of the palace, I can see old mate Saddam has been grinding out camos for his LMGs, along with a sample for a biochemical weapon. Its name was the Cradle, and it was said to make anybody exposed to it follow Grums on Twitter. So, after discovering what the Pantheon had been hiding below Saddam Hussein's palace this whole time, it was time to get out of here. But of course, not before I received one final finger blasting on the roof. Oh. When we arrive home, I'm greeted by the smell of Felix cooking up a stew. A nice hearty meal is exactly what I needed right now. Just make sure to ignore the family of cockroaches inhabiting the kitchen. However, not even a warm German stew could prepare me for what the next mission would hold. This is the wildest Call of Duty has ever gotten, and I say that as somebody who finished Black Ops 3's wet fart of a campaign. Myself, Marshall and Sev were investigating an abandoned facility in Kentucky where Adler worked over a decade ago. He believes this is where the Cradle was conceived a few years ago, but just as we hop into an elevator shaft, I slip and fall to the very bottom. Not only was I now all alone, but my gas mask was also cracked, meaning I was inhaling the fumes of your mum after Taco Bell. The fumes were so bad, in fact, that I began hallucinating mannequins turning into zombies. Once I made my way out into the main hallway, I really took in the scale of this place, where it felt like I was back in 2017's Prey. All I needed was 4 keycards to open up the elevator shaft and shift myself out of here. Unfortunately, getting these keycards would see me get the most intense arse-eating of the century. I chose to go after the yellow card first, and as I descended into an elevator, all seemed normal, until I was met by more zombies. To my delight, I found 2013's hottest new gadget, the grappling hook, but this would spawn in the Director, a zombie boss that would proceed to fillet me for the foreseeable future. I don't know why inhaling this Cradle stuff made me hallucinate zombies, but it was time to turn into Noah J and take them all for a little ride. However, luckily for my wife, I was actually no Noah J. Even once you defeat this toilet blockage of an enemy, there is still 3 more keycards with, guess what? 3 more bosses that took me to over 100 deaths. We have the skinny boy boss who likes to play prop hunt and turn into different objects around the room. You know, just like the mimics from Prey. And what complements a skinny boy boss? That's right, a fat boy boss. And the final boss, the red mannequin boss? Okay, I know I just said that this was a rip-off, but this one genuinely sent a shiver down my gooch, as the mannequins would move and attack you every time you stopped looking at them. So you had to catch up to this red mannequin who was running across the room, but you also couldn't take your eyes off the other mannequins for too long because they would start battering you. It was a cool take on the Weeping Angels concept. Eventually I managed to secure all of the keycards and I made my way up the elevator, where Marshall and Sev wake me up from my trip. Apparently when they found me I was seizuring, convulsing and near death, but once I'm awake they're all like, yeah, this is where they cooked up the Cradle bioweapon. Can you help me bring this tarpaulin inside the lodge, please? Not even once did they ask me if I was okay, nor did Marshall offer me a cheeky wristy. Chivalry truly is dead. I go down there. Oh. Woods calls us all into the meeting room to watch an important tape, which unfortunately wasn't the tape of him and Mason going feral on each other's asses during Vietnam.
Is it faster this time?
Faster, yes. And more aggressive, as requested.
Sheesh.
Wonderful.
That's right, Harrow was involved with the Pantheon. She was the CIA traitor that Adler told us about. This would have been a massive bombshell if we didn't only spend 5 minutes with her in the beginning of the game and then proceed to completely forget who she actually was. Inside that facility, as well as finding information about Cradle, we also found a floppy disk. On it was information about the Pantheon getting their funding from laundered casino money. There's a chair free? Let me slip in there and maybe I can slip in between you guys tonight as well. No? They didn't even look at me. Dressed up and ready for a night of gambling, this was a dangerous place for me to be, as I'm actually easing myself off gambling these days. I didn't have a problem or anything, I was simply just betting every day on random football matches in the Middle East until my savings were dried up. My family decided it was time to step in when I accidentally sold my sister off to an Arabian prince. Unfortunately, the fruities weren't working, as I guess Activision promoting gambling to kids was bad, but hey, military propaganda, $50 skins and battle passes is totally fine, I guess. Now, in the high roller room, we override the fruity, which makes it spit out more than your mother. This forces the boss man to emerge with the keycard strapped firmly to his belt, which we gently fondle and handle off to Phoenix, who's posing as an engineer. Felix is actually a former Stasi officer, but since his days doing that, he is now a sworn pacifist. If by pacifist he meant absolutely creaming this guy's spine over his knee, leaving him unable to walk again, then yeah, I guess he was a pacifist. In the IT room, he manages to make a copy of the card using the super complex code of card copy. We headed to the bar and ordered a peach snaps on the rocks for a mission well done. Now look, I'm not one to judge people for what they drink. I don't really enjoy beer that much, but I'm comfortable enough to order a more girly drink and let a guy rail me later that night because I'm in touch with my feminine side. But ordering a peach schnapps on the rocks may just be the biggest war crime I've ever seen in a Call of Duty campaign. So Felix, Sev and Marshall all get to blowing the vault as a distraction, as Case slips into the safety deposit box we needed. Much like letting your cheeks relax in an elevator, everyone was on high alert because we now had gone loud. Is he noob tubing me? What in the world? That is the craziest campaign enemy I've ever seen. He's got a riot shield and a noob tube. Trying to flank them. No, I'll just throw my homing knife at them. Never mind, I'll throw it at the fucking wall because it's got the turning circle of your nan's wheelchair. Brilliant. We crack a cold one back at the base for a mission well done with Felix, as I guess his vagina got tired of the peach schnapps. So those documents I found in a casino lead us to a dude named Gustav, who made the bioweapon. He was last seen absolutely booking it to Kuwait airport after receiving a wire transfer from Pantheon, so it was time to go interrupt his early retirement. In Kuwait, it was Case, Adler and Sims, that character you definitely don't remember from Cold War, about to raid the Kuwait airport. A lot of missions in this game are pretty unique for COD, but this one felt like the most run-of-the-mill one. We go to a Middle Eastern country and we dispatch about 500 fathers who would be leaving about 5,000 women widowed, and everything ends in a tank. Eventually though, we do find this Gustav bloke who, after a little convincing, tells us that the motherlode of Cradle is in Vorkuta. The Vorkuta mission was once again one of these open area missions with the freedom to approach it how I wanted. This facility had soldiers sleeping in watchtowers without a place to make hot chocky, which is crazy. We were playing as Sev for this mission, so I wanted to keep it true to her character and make sure that I stayed stealthy the entire time. And would you believe it? I actually did it. Well, I mean that is if you ignore this one awkward moment I had. Oh dear. Oh dear, nothing.
Need some backup.
Bow! So I had planted C4 on all their anti-air guns, their helicopter and the radar dish. All that was left now was for me to have a peek on the cameras, but I was not ready for what I'd see. Harrow, she confirmed that the bioweapon had already moved, but the objective changed as we stormed the place to capture her alive. The turns would actually be tabled though, as once we were inside, it was Harrow who ended up capturing me. And honestly, I don't know if I just like villainous women, but I don't remember her ever being this bad. Unfortunately, the lads break in and ruin the fun by capturing Harrow and saving me. I really wanted to see where that was going to go. Maybe she was going to kick me in the balls, maybe she was going to spit in my face, maybe she was going to do both if I was lucky. With Harrow back at the base, we proceeded to Bill Cosby her. No, not like that. I mean, we drugged her. Adler uses the same drug that he used on Belle back in Cold War to get her to open up about where this Cradle bioweapon had been planted. We learn about her traumatic childhood and how her parents were killed, so she became an orphan. You might feel bad for her and think, well, no wonder she became a terrorist and didn't trust anyone. But I burnt my lip last night on pizza. Doesn't mean I'm going to stop ordering from Papa John's, does it? We have to take responsibility for the cards we are dealt in life, so whether you burn your lip on pizza or your parents are killed, it's up to you to keep your life on the best track possible. While in the trip of Adler's drug, she has this evil version of herself, and I honestly don't know if this was trying to be a metaphor for mental health or something, but it was honestly just hilarious. The Pantheon knew she was here, so they came to raid us. So while Woods was interrogating her, Case and the rest of the lads defended the base. What do you mean 5 mildly armoured soldiers couldn't defend a cottage from being raided by a globally funded army? All of this culminates in this section where Harrow has to defeat the evil zombie versions of herself over and over and over again to eventually tell us that the Cradle was planted inside the Capitol building in DC. Pantheon break into the house, grab Harrow, and it's all left up to Case to scale a helicopter and stop her. Of course though, when we're fighting in the helicopter, the pilot catches a stray bullet, because no one is more of a bullet magnet than a pilot. The helicopter crashes in the ocean, and is now slowly filling with water. I, in my desperate attempt to stop Harrow, find a sample of the cradle, and proceed to smash it over her head, again and again, until the sample busts open. The cradle takes us over as we lose it, choking out Harrow until she dies. Or maybe not. I don't know, we get no confirmation on if Case or Harrow die in the game. It just kind of ends. But hey, at least we get a Mason teaser to set up Black Ops 7 because nobody in this story is actually ever dead. There we go here, case in point 0.04? Complete the campaign on Veteran difficulty. Damn. If you want to see more of my content, you should watch this video that's popping up on your screen now because the algorithm recommends it, and who are you to deny the almighty algorithm? Thank you for watching, I love you all, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.